right, hope everyone is enjoying the modules. We're going to head into general contractors and repairs and estimates, how to gather them, what to ask for, what to look for. Make sure you're getting everything included within this. This is just estimates. This is for your underwriting. We have a contingency in place. There are certain measures that we take to ensure that we're protecting and we're almost overestimating the repair costs. But again, these numbers are very, very important for you guys as investors, so that when you do underwrite the properties, at least you're pretty accurate when it comes to your profit margin and you're not too far off there. So without further ado, let's dive in. All right, before we even start off, I am not a general contractor. I'm Cuban in my blood, but I am not Cuban with my hands, all right? I am an investor. You are too. If you know general contracting, you know cost, that's great. This is kind of what we've learned through the years of investing, through the years of fixing and flipping. This is just guidance here. Again, the more questions you ask your contractors, the better. You want to make sure you're over-prepared, right? Failing to prepare is preparing to fail. That model is kind of how you want to approach these conversations with your general contractors. So let's dive in. When you're talking demo, our contractors originally quote demo with labor and dumpster fees. Cool. But what that only includes is kitchen and flooring, right? If we're demoing a bathroom, or we're demoing the roof, or we're demoing the basement, that's not included in the price. So be sure that when you're getting quotes for demo, what does that include? Is it the dumpster fees? Is it the labor? Is it the entire home? Is it just the kitchen and floors? Are you talking kitchens, bathrooms, flooring based off of the scope of work that we provide? Get an idea of where they think that the dumpster fee and the labor demoing the entire property will be a range of, right? So like for us, we know $4,000 give or take. Sometimes it's $2,000, sometimes it's $5,000. We do have the contingency if it comes back at $2,000, but we're underwriting $4,000. Great, $2,000 we can reallocate towards something else, whether it's adding a nice feature to the property, wall art, injecting more into the landscape. We have that $2,000 buffer, or we can just try to roll it back into the profit margin, which obviously is the goal here. Kitchen. So when you're talking about kitchen, get an idea, again, of the entire scope of demoing a kitchen and adding new cabinets, new quartz countertops, appliances. Give them the avatar of what your kitchen would look like. So if I'm having a conversation with a general contractor, I'm asking, look, I'm looking for guidance on what a full kitchen remodel would be. Keep in mind, I'm an investor, I'm in fix and flipper, so we want to limit costs as best we can, but still deliver an outstanding quality of a product, because we're looking to resell this, and the faster I can resell it, the more I can resell it for, the more work that you and I do together, right? So get an idea of what the expectations would be. Tell them, think of an average kitchen, 12 to 15 cabinets, quartz countertops, backsplash on in each kitchen. Price range for tile, $1.90 to $2.50 per square foot for tile. Appliances, stainless steel appliances, hardware, your kitchen faucet and the plumbing fixtures that come along with it. Electrical work. We're going to add recess lighting in all of our kitchens. Usually it's between 4 and 8 recess cans. With all of that understanding, what would a quote include? And if he says, well, I give a different quote for electrical, different quote for plumbing, great. Make note of that. So when you're going to the electrical underwrite or electrical repair costs, you can account for that, right? Get an idea of it. Vet 2-3 contractors, compare pricing, leverage pricing, and you will be able to drive down your costs and still maintain that quality of a product that you output. All right, diving into full bath repair estimates. When you're gathering costs from your general contractor, typically what they'll do is they'll break it up into different sections, meaning a full bathroom remodel will be X. Okay, well, what does that include? It's going to include floor tile, shower tile, tub, demo, doing the vanity, doing the light fixture, and shower head and the attachments and waterproofing the shower. Because typically when you do a bathroom renovation, you demo the wall, you add this waterproofing foam or sheetrock behind it. That's what's up to code now, which is kind of pricey. The foam is a little bit more less expensive, and it's a newer product, so it's something that you want to bring to your contractor's attention. Then they'll say electrical will be this amount, plumbing will be this amount. Typically, plumbers charge per fixture. Meaning, in a full bath, you typically have 3 fixtures. Your vanity in the hookup, the waterline hookup, the toilet in the main stack hookup, and then the shower, right? So there's 3 fixtures. Prices vary depending on the plumber. Sometimes a general contractor will pay a licensed plumber to pull the permit and have his guys do it because the licensed plumber trusts his guys, which is advantageous to you because his guys, he's paying hourly versus the plumber's going to charge $1,000 per fixture, which really drives up costs. So make sure that you get a clear understanding of what it includes. When you're giving me, general contractor, when you're giving me this quote for a full bathroom, let's talk about tile work. Let's talk about light fixtures, plumbing fixtures, floor shower tile, tub, demo, painting it, vanity installation, materials and labor, shower head and installments, waterproofing and with foam or sheetrock. What would it range out to be? Labor and material. A lot of times they'll give you pushback. Oh, well, I would have to see the bathroom. Guy, it's a Cape Cod 1,500 square feet. The bathroom's probably 50 square feet. Just give me your best estimate, man. I'm not going to hold you to it. There's no gun to your head. Give me your best estimate. And if they say $7,000, maybe budget $7,500, right? You'd rather overestimate than underestimate. Protect your money, protect your investors, and you'll be off to a great start here. All right, very similar to a full bath, except there's one less plumbing fixture, right? The shower or the tub. You're going to get material, labor quotes for a half bath. See what it includes. Make sure you're comparing apples to apples. Is it going to be the flooring? Is it going to be the toilet? Is it going to be the vanity, painting, light fixture? Is it going to be light devices? When I say device, it's a light switch and outlet. Make sure that you understand what this quote includes, because last thing that you want happening is them coming back and saying, oh, well, it didn't include the light fixture. But based off our conversation, general contractor, it does include the light fixture. So set the expectations, gather the expectations, and then plan accordingly, right? If he comes back and says $2,000 for a half bath, give or take around there, budget $2,500. We always like budgeting a little bit up, 5 to 10%, even before your contingency, right? When you're gathering numbers off the bat, give a little buffer. Nothing too crazy because you're going to price yourself out of deals, but buffer a little bit, because $500 here, $500 here, $500 here. Well, next thing you know, you have an extra $5,000 contingency that you planned for in your initial conversations with the general contractor. Put it in your underwriting spreadsheet. Again, it's only going to protect you if the contractor communicates $2,000 and he comes back at $2,000. Well, guess what? $500 you can either reallocate back towards the investment, or $500 are back in your pocket, or $500 for an extra month on interest payments because the property is taking a little bit longer to sell. It's going to protect you. Trust me. All right, when it comes to flooring, a lot of general contractors will subcontract this out. It's good to understand if, again, within the demo price, does that include the flooring? If it does include flooring, great. And if he comes back with a quote saying, flooring is including demo and whatever it may be, let him know. You already included, I'm already paying you for demo, so if you're including demo here, well, the price should adjust and come down a little bit, right? LVP is going to be a little bit different than brand new hardwood floor install and labor. Hardwood floor, historically, from our experience, is a little bit pricier. It's not too crazy, but it is probably 15 to 25% greater in cost to do hardwood flooring. People love hardwood flooring, but people also love, the commercial grade 6 mil or above LVP flooring, just as long as it's a good color and it's installed correctly, because there's a lot of occasions where subcontractors will come in, put flooring down, the floors aren't level. It's almost like you're walking on clouds. it gives way, and that's a bad look because people are walking on it. They're going to have a bad image in their mind, and buyers are intimidated from that. They think something is structurally wrong with the property. It might not be the case, but it doesn't matter. It's the perception that the buyer has. So see if it includes self-leveling, right? There's self-leveling flooring that you can pour onto floors prior to putting LVP or hardwood floors on. That can allow you to level the floor and make sure that it doesn't allow that buyer perception that the floors are uneven structurally if something is wrong with it. Get labor materials for LVP flooring, get labor materials for brand new flooring, and get labor material for sanding and staining. Sanding and staining is much more affordable than installing brand new hardwood floors naturally or LVP floors. Right now we're at around $2 to $2.25 per square foot for sand and stain versus LVP, we're at $4 to $4.50, maybe $4.90, depending on the LVP we choose from PermaShield. But get a good idea of it because, again, if there's 1,600 square feet in a property and you are looking at a $4 installation of labor and material, that's going to be what? It's going to be $5,400. Math wasn't my best subject, but I think it's around there. But that's a big chunk of change, right? So it's important to get those numbers pretty accurate. Hold your contractors accountable and hold them to those numbers that they communicate. And if it's off, if they deviate from that, better understand why, okay? All right, flooring is very, very important. Buyer's perception, you're walking on floating floors. They may believe there's some structural damage. Interior painting is very similar. If there's blemishes on the wall or it's not sanded correctly, buyers are going to think that was a half-assed job. They're not going to trust the rest of the work that was done. Even if the work is outstanding and the walls are ugly, they're going to have a poor perception of it, and it's going to impact how many offers you get. It's going to impact the desirability of the asset that you're trying to produce. So it's important you get a good painter. I would suggest paying a little bit more for a good quality painter, but also when you do your final walkthrough, hold them accountable. So when you do gather a estimate on price per square foot is what you're asking your general contractor, similar to flooring, price per square foot. You're identifying labor and material. Right now, we're approximately $5 to $6 with one contractor. Another, we're at like $8 to $9. That's too high. I think $5 to $6 is kind of like the gold standard. Some people are even lower at like $4, but you do want to be cautious of that. Make sure that when you get quotes, when you're getting a rough estimate, okay, what would price per square foot be, general contractor, for painting a 14 square foot home? It would be around $5. Great. What would that include? Let them say it, right? Put the ball in their court and let them say what it would include. It would require sanding and painting. Okay, great. What about taping? What about patching? What about priming the walls? Priming is going to allow for a smooth coat and make it feel smooth. So if there's rough spots or blemishes, it'll smoothen it out. Typically, you want to prime before you paint, and if a painter's not priming before they paint, maybe you don't want to hire that painter. So, get price per square foot. Make sure you understand what it includes. Make sure it includes taping, priming, patching. Obviously, if they're patching 17 different walls and there's holes everywhere, it's going to be a different number. So you have to be self-aware enough to understand that if the asset is messed up and there's holes everywhere, it's going to cost a little bit more. But not all the time. Most of the properties that we like to do, the walls are in decent condition. We need to prime it, we need to sand it, we need to paint it. That's pretty standard. So get what an idea of painting price per square foot would be for something that is cosmetically needs to be painted. Okay? It'll give you a good understanding. Even if you ask them for a range, go with the higher range. Again, you want to protect the investment, you want to protect your returns, you want to protect your investors. Okay? Doors. Sometimes we underwrite replacing doors depending, if there's holes in 5 of the doors, okay, obviously we have to replace the doors. Typically, we're around $150 per door. That includes just the door itself. If you're going to be doing the trim, it's probably an extra $25 to $50, so we're at $200 per door. But make sure that you get an understanding of what that includes. Material and labor, price per door. Is it what if we only do the hardware? So for us, hardware is about $25 per door, right? If you're looking just to replace the hardware, which is a really good idea, let's say if you're going for like a modern farmhouse look and you want black hardware, but right now it's brushed nickel or right now it's the old gold, get an idea of what it would cost. Again, it's not going to really impact it too much, but it's still good to hold these people accountable, because if they come back with a higher quote and you say, look, I'm only changing the hardware, you know, they're going to work with you because you're educated. You've set the expectations up front, and you've gathered all the information that you needed to gather in order to control cost the best that you can. You're probably wondering what I'm doing wearing these glasses. I just want to throw a curveball at you to capture your interest, because I know we're throwing a lot at you. It gets easier, don't worry. All right, once you repeat this stuff over and over and over again, underwriting properties, conversations with general contractors, with real estate agents, it gets easier. Bear with me, stay with us here, okay? Siding, big piece of the puzzle. Roof, big piece of the puzzle, right? So if you have to replace the siding, if you have to replace the roof, a lot of times you can predict what siding is going to cost based off of the square, right? It's per square basis. When you get a siding quote, it's going to be a per square basis. Sometimes some people do it linear foot, some people do it square foot. Get an idea of a 1500 square foot home. We're replacing the siding. It's a Cape Cod. There's 2 stories. What would it cost? Get material and labor. What does it include? Is it getting rid of the old siding and then putting new siding on? Is it putting new siding on top of the old siding? The cost will be impacted based off of what you do to the property. So for example, if I'm putting siding on existing siding, well, I don't have to demo it. That's one less dumpster. It's less a day of labor for the guys, which might be $500 to $1,000. All these costs add up. So make sure you set the expectations and understand what it includes. If siding on a 1,500 square foot Cape Cod typically costs $10,000, great. Is that putting siding over the existing siding? Is that removing the old siding and putting new siding on? What does that include? Make sure that you're fully aware. Does it include vinyl trim around the exterior of the windows? What does it include? Set the expectations, understand the expectations. That way you're not getting hit with curveballs and just added costs that can really, make or break deals. Again, although it might be a small cost here, all of these small costs add up and can really impact the deal. Moving on to roof, same thing with siding. Get expectations. Going over existing roof is going to be a lot more affordable than ripping out the roof and replacing it with new shingles. If there's repaired or if there's damaged plywood, what is it per square to replace plywood and shingles? Get an understanding of what it's going to cost, what the cost includes. On a 1,500 square foot Cape Cod, keep using that example, but that's a lot of what you'll see, or a ranch. Cape Cod or a ranch is what we like to flip. Get a better idea of what it's going to cost, and best case scenario, worst case scenario, if you're going over the existing roof, what's it going to cost? If you're replacing the entire roof plus like 50% of the plywood, what's it going to cost? What does that do to the price? What does that do to labor costs? Better understand it. Also, see if it includes gutters. Sometimes contractors will include gutters, sometimes they won't. Most times they won't, but I've seen it before where they do include gutters. Gutters should run you around $2,000 to $3,000, but gutters are essential because you get dripping through the flashing at the end of the roof, and that can damage the property. If a buyer does a property inspection, that'll be a red flag, and you'll probably have to put gutters on. So just like nick it in the butt in advance, and you'll be golden. Alright guys, moving on to exterior doors. It may seem monotonous, but exterior doors can add up. They're expensive. They range from $700 to $1,000. That's just for materials. With labor, could be $1,000 to $1,500. When you're talking about a front door, a side door, a back door, maybe a garage door, it adds up very, very quickly. So just get an idea of like what it would cost for materials and labor there, what it includes, if it's trim, if it's the deadbolts, if it's the framing, or if it's just the door itself. Understand what it includes. Windows, very similar. Windows can drive prices very fast. Sometimes windows can just be a replacement window and it can be much more affordable. Sometimes it can be special order windows, which drives costs drastically, 20%, 15-20% higher than what it normally is. Better understand what it includes, because if they're replacing a window but not replacing the trim, you want to make sure that that's included within the cost. Get a rough estimate, material and labor. We pay anywhere from $400 to $500 per window. I've seen as low as $350, $375. I've seen as high as $575, $600. I think you want to be around the $450 range. I think is a fair number. That's for replacement of window. That's for making sure the trim is all tightened up and looks good. Again, replacement windows, dual panel, bread and butter. Dual panels, high efficiency. It's not up to Energy Star level, but you don't need Energy Star. That's getting above and beyond, and it's very, very costly doing that. But dual panel should do it. Landscape, we usually add in a 2 to 5% contingency of the overall project costs from construction into landscaping. Sex does sell, so you want to make sure that the property looks very, very attractive from the front. We do inject some capital into the backyard depending on what the comps are showing. We'll add some shrubbery back there. We'll add some mulch back there. Occasionally, we've added fences. I think a fenced-in backyard, especially if the comps are showing that, it's important to get an idea of what a fence would cost. Find out what what your continued costs are for landscape. Like, hey, if I had a quarter-acre property, what would it cost to maintain it bi-weekly just to cut the grass? Usually we're around the $40 to $50 bi-weekly, and then once we list the property, we'll maintain it every week. So obviously that's going to drive up landscaping costs. We're usually in between $3,000, $4,000, maybe $5,000 max for landscape. It's important, but don't break the bank on it. Okay, when you're looking at mechanicals, value adds, whether it's finishing a basement, adding a full bath, converting a half bath to a full bath, it is important to understand what the cost can be. There's a lot that goes into it. If you're looking to add a full bath and it's on the opposite end of the property, well, now you got to reroute the plumbing stack across the property. You have to rip out walls. You might have to rip through some of the framing. It can cost a pretty significant amount of money, so it's important to identify what that cost is, what's included in that cost. Again, if it's 3 fixtures, plumbing fixtures, plumbers can charge upwards of $1,000, maybe even more per fixture. Better understand who they're using, if they're doing it internally, just pulling permits with a plumber, what that cost looks like. To give you an idea, we're all in anywhere between $12,500 and $15,000 to add a full bath. That's without an existing bath in place. Adding a half bath is more like $10,000, give or take. That's because the plumbing's already there, the plumbing stack is already there, which can be an expensive part, and there's already water lines there, so all we got to do is reroute some water lines to create a shower and a stand-up shower, and maybe expand the bathroom a little bit, so it's some framing, but nothing too crazy. Half bath, same thing. One less plumbing fixture, but better understand your costs there. See what the cost can be to add a half bath, because again, if your comps are showing a 311 and you're a 3-1, but adding a half bath will increase the value of $40,000, and it's going to cost you $7,500 to add a half bath. Well, then it makes sense, because you see the cost difference within adding a half bath and the value of adding a half bath in terms of the after repair value. So key points to look at, but better understand your costs, because you want to prepare accordingly and make sure that you are not over leveraging yourself or are under budgeting your construction cost. Okay. This is a unique one, right? If you're adding livable square footage, right? So it could be a basement, it could be an enclosed porch, both of which we like to finish, especially if the comps are reflecting it, or if the enclosed porch offers 200 square feet and we're at, let's say, 1,200 square feet, but we have comps at 15 and 16. It's outside that 20% threshold that Sagar mentioned in the underwriting spreadsheet. But in order to achieve that, if we finish the enclosed porch, well, now we can achieve a higher ARV based off of if we inject X dollars into it. You got to add insulation, you got to add exterior windows, you got to add sheetrock, electric, heat. be sure to understand the cost there. What we typically do, guys, is we do it on a price per square foot basis. So I believe our numbers are around $25 per square foot. So if we're adding 1,000 square foot finished basement, that means we're going to be around $25,000 to finish that. That includes framing, sheetrock, insulation, electrical, lights, light switches, outlets, recessed lights, flooring. Again, it's a rough estimate. Sometimes we're a little below it. Sometimes we might be a little over it. But it's a good estimate of where we're at. But make sure that you understand from your general contractors, hey, if I'm going to finish 1,000 square foot basement and I need to frame it, sheetrock it, add insulation, do electrical, finish the floors, do some recess cans, what can I expect price per square foot? And if they don't know, just talk it out with them. Okay, how much sheetrock's required to finish 1,000 square feet? Oh, it might be 25 sheets. Okay, how many 2x4s is required to finish a basement, 1,000 square foot basement? Oh, it's probably gonna need 150. Okay, how much recess cans in 1,000 square foot? Oh, you'll probably need 12. Okay, how many square foot what's the price for LVP flooring in 1,000 square feet? We know it's about $4 a square foot based off of your estimate, so it should be around $4,000. Great. Based off of that, what do you think that total number will be? And then just divide it by the square footage. If they say $20,000, it's around $20 per square foot to finish, to create livable square footage. Get a rough ballpark, overestimate. If they come in at 20, come back at 21, 22. Again, you want to protect your investment, you want to protect your investors, and you'd rather overestimate than underestimate. We do this across the board, no matter what we're looking at in terms of the rehab. It will protect you.